A volunteer walked off this island before sunset, shaken, pale, refusing to finish his shift. He said someone had followed him across the shingle for nearly a minute, matching his pace, step for step. But each time he turned around, there was nobody there, and he never agreed to work here alone again. This is Orford Ness, a place so secret during World War II that maps barely showed it. A place built for explosions, for experimental radar, for weapons tests so dangerous they had to happen where nobody would hear the blast. And now, the people who maintain it say the same thing. They don't like being here after dark. During the war, men stood out here on open shingle, recording the effects of live detonations. They watched structures get torn apart to measure blast force. They worked on gantries above experimental buildings, exposed to the elements. They relied on the maths being right. Because if calculations were wrong, they would have been standing too close. Some accidents did happen here across its operational years. Injuries. Reports, filed clinically, often retracted. But this ground remembers the tension of men waiting for an explosion they hoped would go to plan. Decades later, when the site came under the care of the National Trust, volunteers began noticing something strange. Not sightings, reactions. Requests not to be scheduled alone. People cutting shifts short, people avoiding certain buildings without quite knowing why. One volunteer was locking up near dusk. The wind was low, the shingle quiet. He started the long walk back toward the boat point. Then he heard it. Footsteps behind him, slow, heavy, crunching through stones. He stopped. They stopped. He walked again. They followed. Close enough that he said he could feel the presence behind him without turning. When he finally did turn around, there was nobody there. But he said the fear came from this. He was certain someone had been matching his stride. He radioed to leave early, and never worked an evening shift again. That path runs between old test structures where blast experiments once took place. Observers used to walk those same routes after detonations, checking damage, recording results, walking through drifting dust and debris, alone. Another worker reported hearing footsteps above him on a metal gantry. Clear, deliberate. Boot on steel. He called out to whoever was up there.
Hello? Who's there?
No reply. He checked the staircase. It was locked from below. The platform empty. He finished quickly and requested never to work that section alone again. Those gantries were built so men could stand at height and observe blast patterns safely. They weren't meant for comfort. They were meant for visibility, for watching structures be destroyed in real time, for waiting to see if the maths had worked. An engineer photographing the site stayed later than planned. Light fading, long shadows between buildings. He said he felt watched from one of the dark doorways of an old laboratory. Not a glance, a focus, as if someone stood inside, completely still. He lifted his camera to zoom in, and for a moment he believed he could see the outline of a man standing in the doorway, upright, motionless. He lowered the camera. The doorway was empty. He did not take the photo. He left immediately. No reports say haunting. But over years, different people have made the same decision here. Do not stay alone after dark. That pattern is real. That behaviour is documented. Because in the 1940s, this was a place where men waited for explosions they hoped would go to plan. But sometimes they didn't. Orford Ness was top secret. So there are no official records of specific fatal accidents from these experiments. Many records were said to have been destroyed or lost due to flooding. But a researcher expert is said to have cited that at least half a dozen airmen were fatally injured, but probably more, in aviation tests on this site over the years, throughout 2 world wars and later the Cold War. And right here, they walked these paths after detonations. They stood on those gantries watching destruction unfold. They worked in those buildings knowing a mistake would not leave enough behind to bury. And if this was the last ground you ever stood on, this is exactly where you would still be. Walking the shingle, standing in the doorway, watching from the gantry. On Orford Ness. So as we come to the end of this journey through Orford Ness, it's worth remembering that behind every shadow, every unexplained sound, and every lingering story, there was once a very real human life. These places aren't just haunted by mystery. They're shaped by history, by people who served their country and paid the ultimate price. By those who waited. By those who endured. And by sacrifices made on all sides of a war that changed the world forever. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, what remains undeniable is the weight these places still carry. A quiet echo of the past that refuses to fully fade. So tonight, as we close this chapter, we remember them, not as stories, but as people. All of them, lest we forget. Thank you for watching. If you found this video interesting, please subscribe so you don't miss future history behind the haunting episodes. And I'd be grateful if you could also give it a like. It really helps the channel. Until next time, take care, see ya, and in a bit.